Hi, RCN friends. It's Miss Sarah, and I'm here to talk about the Scissor Skills lesson in your learning bag. So, RCN provided scissors that they ordered, and you have construction paper, or if you just want to use scrap paper, that works too. So, it's really nice with the background background of these lessons. There's a description of where the thought process came from for creating these lessons. So, scissor skills are one of the many skills that are introduced throughout preschool, and some of you might not have known that at different ages, developmentally, your child is in that stage and they're doing that kind of skill that's appropriate for their age with scissors and paper. So, like for around age 2, children start to, snip the edges of, paper while they're holding, and they may be holding with 2 hands and just snipping the edge of the paper. Or, between developmentally, they may start between the ages of 3.5, 4 years old to start cutting straight lines. And parents would never think of that, and that's great that it's provided, that information is provided in the lessons, because then you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I was wondering why my child wasn't doing that skill yet, and I thought something was wrong, but that might not be the case. It may just be it's not developmentally appropriate yet for your child, or you may notice that they are in the right stage for cutting, straight lines, or they're, the age of 5 and they should be starting to practice cutting circles and squares. And you might have noticed that your children, may not be able to have the stamina or the strength to do that. And it could be because of their fine motor skills haven't fully developed or are strengthened. So doing work with Play-Doh and doing work with holding pencils and, doing different, finger activities using clothespins and like tongs builds fine motor strength, and then they have the stamina to do the activities that we ask at school or at home, and they're not complaining that their hand hurts. So doing more practice and exposure kind of builds that stamina for the kids to be able to do it for longer periods. So I'm going to show how to do this activity with the scissors and paper. So they say to have your child do a picture on the paper with a face. So I would take that as, do the eyes, do a little nose, do a mouth, and then they say to do straight lines for the hair. So they were saying you can do long and short, you can alternate, it can be mix, just so your child has some kind of choice in saying the activity, so it's not fully adult-led. So to cut the hair, you're going to have them turn the paper around, or depending on what size your paper is, or what shape, you can probably change that up too. And I always like to tell my kids in my classroom, remember your thumb points up to the ceiling, or thumb to the sky. So your child's going to put their dominant hand, their writing hand, the hand that they do more things with, they choose. Like if you say pick up a marker, and they choose their right hand, that's their dominant hand. Or if you say pick it up, they do their left hand. Some kids are still in the stage where they're switching on and off. So that's kind of interesting when you ask that question and you watch them switch their hands, and they don't even realize they're doing it. So for scissors, you say, hold the scissors correctly. So they're going to put their thumb in it, and then the remaining fingers in the oval-shaped hole. And then with their other hand, they're going to use this to hold the paper and to stabilize it and have a better grip to cut. And kids aren't just born with the skill to be able to open and close. So that's why when they're younger, they're snipping just off the corners. But when they're in the stage where they can cut on lines and do the open close movement, they're going to go right along. And it's okay if they don't get right on the line, but at least they're following directions and they're doing the movement of opening and closing the scissors. They're not cutting towards their body, because you may see your kids go twist their hand and try, and that's gonna hurt, and like it's uncomfortable. So just the more modeling and the more kind of saying, turn your hand around. Remember, thumb goes up to the ceiling, thumb up, and it's gonna just kind of get them in the practice of cutting the right way and kind of cutting appropriately so they don't hurt their fingers or hurt their wrist from cutting, towards them or flipping their hand. And then, they have the little hair on their person. And then the next step would be they suggest to do is give it a haircut. So cutting horizontally, right across, and then your child can give it a haircut. And, you can play around with this activity. And it can be changed different ways, different paper, different textures, even aluminum foil or cutting on plastic or cutting a wax paper. It changes experience, and it's all about reading your child's interest and kind of where they need practice with. But I hope you have fun and enjoy it, and I'll see you again. Bye, RCN families.